Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Grab your notepads and your pen because I want you to take notes. As always, I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. Remember, that's what this is all about, implementation. If it is to be, it's up to me. You've got to do something to move your business forward. If you don't, who will? All right, today we're going to continue our discussion about marketing and sales. This is the fourth part in a series on that discussion because there's so much to cover. Nothing's complicated, as is often the case in these discussions we have about business in general, and certainly in this marketing and sales discussion. A lot of this stuff is probably very intuitive to you. It's stuff that you know, yet we discuss it because just because you know it doesn't mean you're doing anything about it. It doesn't mean you're actually leveraging your knowledge and implementing things to move forward. So that's why we have this discussion. I'm hoping to stimulate you. I'm hoping that you will move forward in your business by, starting the day off right, thinking about these concepts, and then making action items and moving forward. Now in part 3, we discussed, compared and contrasted the similarities and differences between traditional and digital marketing. And we started off that concept and that discussion by saying, what is the most powerful, the most effective form of marketing? And I said, all of you should get that one. If you didn't watch that one, you don't have to go back. You can watch this one first, but you should go back and watch this series. So let me ask you right here and now, what is the most effective, the most powerful form of marketing? We've all heard it said time and again. You know this. It is word of mouth. And we didn't discuss word of mouth much in that. I said, well, we would categorize that, I suppose, as traditional. It's been around since the caveman days. And so I promised that we would have a separate video where we discuss just that, just word of mouth, and how can you take advantage of this? How can you put the concepts surrounding word of mouth to best use for you and leverage the idea of word of mouth marketing? So that's what today is. We're going to look at it through the lens of two different things: more a passive approach to taking advantage of word of mouth marketing, and then a more active approach. And as I said a moment ago, if it is to be, it's up to me, and anything that requires activity starts with you. So I'm gonna, just like before, I'm gonna pull up some notes on the screen that we can follow along. And as I said, you don't need to jot down any of this stuff because it's all available for you as a free download. Just go into the link in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, then go into the description and follow that link, and it'll ask you for your name and email address, and we'll give you a PDF copy of these notes that you can use as you do your homework. Which, remember, your homework is you're jotting down something not that's on the screen. You're jotting down something that you think about and you go, you know what, I really need to do that. I haven't done that in my business, and that could help us. All right, so let's bring up those notes. Now, I think we can all agree that word of mouth marketing is the most powerful. It's the most effective. And we refer to this also as networking and referrals. So, I mean, those terms aren't exactly synonymous, but when you talk about networking to generate business, really you're looking for word of mouth marketing. You are engaging, you are practicing word of mouth marketing. And when you talk about how important it is that you have a referral business, that your business is based primarily on referrals, you're reliant on word of mouth marketing. And why do we know that it's so powerful? Because we've just seen over time that those people that come in and engage your business, if they've been referred to it, if they know you, they're part of a network in some way, if they heard about it through word of mouth, they seem to already know, like, or trust you. Maybe know, like, and trust you. Remember, people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. And if somebody is hearing about this from a trusted source, so they hear about your product or service, they hear about your business from someone that they already know, like, and trust, by extension, they know, like, and trust you because they put faith in that person's referral. And that's why it's so much easier to engage those people and convert them into sales, to convert them into revenue. So it's very powerful. And yet, we don't always do things to try to leverage that opportunity, to make the best of it, to make the most of those opportunities. First, I'm going to look at things through the passive lens. So what can we do, or what are we doing? What things do we make sure we're doing to ensure that we're creating an environment and our ecosystem within our business that naturally, organically gets a lot more word of mouth referrals. So we refer to this as a more passive approach. And then after this, we'll look at the more active things that you can do to get more word of mouth. So the first thing up here, the considerations for leverage: have a thorough understanding of your unique value proposition. The UVP, also known as the USP, the S being sales, your unique sales proposition. We come back to this time and again. Your business, your products or services, all about value. When people feel like the value that they're getting from when they perceive that the value that they're getting from your product or service exceeds that which they have to surrender, which they have to trade in order to get that, when that happens, they naturally will engage with you and engage in commerce. So you have to understand your unique value proposition in order to be able to communicate it. It all starts from a passive level of really understanding it. And then the second thing is you want to perpetually refine the 4 constituents of value. Now, we've got several videos on the constituents of value. I don't mind reminding you of what those are right now. They are convenience, customer experience, quality, and pricing, and you need to always be looking. In fact, we just posted a video recently about the compound approach and combining those things. But the idea here is, if you want to have word of mouth, you need to make sure that you have great value. So you need to understand what is unique about your value. You need to believe that you offer great value, and then you need to, on a perpetual basis, refine that, make it better, innovate your products or services through the compound application of innovation to customer experience, to quality, to convenience, to pricing. And when you do that, it's a passive thing that will just occur, that you have more word of mouth referrals, because people just will gravitate through. Your existing customers will naturally say to people that they interact with, wow, this is just great value and this is why I use this. Think about yourself. If you frame this through the lens of a customer, that you're the customer, when you have a business and they have great products or services that just represent outstanding value, you just naturally tell people. That's what we are. We sort of promote and we share with one another as social creatures. The third thing up here is passion, pride, and enthusiasm. The more passion you have for that which your business does and produces, the more pride you have in that throughout your organization. If you have a culture of enthusiasm, your whole team is very passionate about it, that will be contagious. And you know that, you've heard that, and you've felt that. So make sure, if you have somebody who's a little apathetic on your team, I would advise you to maybe swap that person out. I mean, you can't afford, in this day and age, with how competitive everything is and how much you're investing in your business, to have people who really are apathetic and do not care about your business. They don't care about your customers. They don't care about your products and services. Hopefully you don't have anyone like that. If you do, visit the videos that we have on human resources, and maybe having to swap somebody out, and we can help you recruit somebody new for that. You want people who are filled with passion, pride, and enthusiasm, and you should be as well. If people are burning out, if you're burnt out, you're a little tired because you're working too long hours or whatever, and you notice, wow, I used to be a lot more outgoing and everything, you need to address that, because when you want that, it impacts your customer experience and also the quality of service that you deliver. And those things are value. So people, like I said, it's contagious. Your customers will notice, wow, these guys are really enthusiastic. They're all so friendly. They're very passionate about what they do. And they're going to share that with other people. They'll share the opposite as well if you don't have that and you don't want them sharing complaints about the opposite. The fourth one up here is embrace a culture of constructive criticism and feedback. We have a separate video on that as well. You want to frame these things through the lens of opportunity, and you have to create the culture. You have to let everybody know, not only is it perfectly fine, but it is expected that your team members will offer criticism of our existing processes and, maybe materials or anything that we can use to improve. And you as a business owner, you as an entrepreneur, as a manager, those of you who are watching this or aspiring managers, you need to wrap your head around the concept that you need to embrace this, and you want customers who give feedback even when it's negative. You don't want to bury that. It's flawed logic when you have somebody that is maybe complaining, a customer complaint. It's maybe a little awkward to receive that, I understand, but you should embrace that and have a culture of, thank you very much. The first thing you should say when someone complains to you, whether it is staff or customer, any stakeholder in your business, is you should say thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know that it's not comfortable to have to share those things, but this gives me an opportunity to investigate, and that's atypical of the experience or the quality that our customers experience, and I'm going to dig into this. I'll find out why it's the case, and we will improve upon it. It's all about the culture, and it starts with an attitude, and it's going to start with you as the manager of the business. So make sure you embrace a culture of constructive criticism. Fix deficiencies. So, okay, now you've heard and people giving you feedback. The next thing you have to do is fix those deficiencies. So people have provided you with the feedback, and you did a little bit of investigation. You found out why. You work to the root cause of the problem, and you fix it. And that's going to lead to better value, which will in turn lead to passive word of mouth. It'll just be more contagious. It's like the last time somebody came in and something was just off, just maybe not perfect, and this time they came in and they noticed you fixed it. Oh, I noticed that they put up this piece of equipment, or they did this in their bathroom facilities, or whatever. Little things that you fix, people notice that, and then they share. And I've been involved in lots of conversations, not just on a business level, but also on a social level, where people share this stuff. It just naturally, organically, passively leads to word of mouth marketing. The next one up here, number 6, customer is king culture. And that's what you have to have, is that the customer is the king. You need to understand that your customers are the lifeblood of your business. Without your customers, you're out of business. And so you need to spread that and share that idea with everybody else. All the stakeholders in your business need to understand customer is king. Your customers need to feel that. They need to come into your business and go, boy, we're treated like royalty around here. These people clearly value their customers. Every opportunity. It starts with little things like smiling, by putting processes in place that respect people's time, getting feedback from the customers, some of the aforementioned things that we said about having a culture where you embrace constructive criticism and you fix those deficiencies. It all sends a message, and people will share that. Number 7, stand behind your products or services. You do not want people who experience a lack of value or some sort of negative association with your product or service to be out there sharing that information with people. So what you do is you stand behind it. It's like, we want our customers 100% satisfied. We want them more than satisfied. We want them delighted. We strive to exceed expectations, to over-deliver, and do not over-promise. And when you do that, and you stand behind your product anytime it happens, and it will happen because you're not perfect. Even if your product is great, 99.99% of the time, every now and then there are flaws, there are mistakes that happen. It could be in the customer experience, somebody's having a bad day. We understand that, but you stand behind it. Your customer is king, and you let people know, well, we want to make sure you're delighted. Clearly you're not. How can we make this right for you? And it may be involving a refund or something like that. It may be involving some sort of compensation, but stand behind your product, make it right, do it over, whatever you need to do to make sure that you exceed the expectations. Number 8, retention. Build your army. So retention is huge. So we've talked about before that there are 2 ways to build a business. You need to conquest new business. So you need to go out and find people that are not currently customers and convert them into customers. So that's conquest. And then the second way is to retain customers. So someone who's already a customer, hopefully you'll get repeat business for them, and maybe you'll find ways that you can increase the average order and the frequency of their order. We have videos on all of this stuff that you should look up if you need tips on that. But the attitude in your business, and anyone I would talk to in your business, should be retention is what we're all about here. We need to retain our customers. Remember, if you're out there and you're experts at conquesting new business, but you don't retain any of your existing business, it's just a revolving door. It's like a sieve. You've got customers coming in, but they just drain right out the bottom. If you can capture the customers and retain them, then your business grows. You'll have overflow in your capacity, and you'll need to reinvest in your business and grow your business. That's what this is about. That's what you want to do. You need to really discuss it. If you're not discussing retention on a regular basis, then you really don't have a culture of retention where it's a high value for you. So measure your retention, discuss it with one another, reward one another, pat yourself on the back when your retention numbers are greater and your repeat business goes up. This is really critical. And think of it from this perspective. Again, put yourself in the shoes of the customer. You're the customer here. Forget about your business. Think about businesses that you really appreciate, that you've been dealing with for a very long time. The longer you've been dealing with that business, the more likely it is that you have referred someone else to them. That word of mouth marketing has been active in you. You have been a marketer. You're part of the army. And I think it was when I attended some Ritz-Carlton training that the trainer said, you want an army of people out there referring to your business, promoting your business, an army of people that are delighted with your products and services, not the opposite. You don't want an army of people out there that are detracting from your business, that are complaining about your business. So create your army through retention. The bigger database of active customers you have that are enjoying and benefiting from your products and services, you are evoking emotions in them and you are solving problems for them, they will tell other people, and it's a great passive way of taking advantage of word of mouth marketing. Staff usage is the next one on here. I think this may be these aren't in any particular order, in order of importance. Staff usage. Does everyone on your team use your products or services? Now, we have all sorts of different types of business owners and managers that watch these videos, and you can be in very starkly diverse businesses, and it may be impractical for, maybe you're in new home construction or something like that, and maybe not all of your staff lives in a house that you built, that your company has built for them. But to the extent that it's possible, get your staff to use your products and services. How can they have that aforementioned passion, pride, and enthusiasm in your products and services if they haven't experienced it? So even if they can't own the product for some reason, maybe it's affordability, maybe there's some reason it's impractical, maybe you're in healthcare and you are treating people with very serious disease and your staff don't have that disease, but in what way can your team experience the benefits that your customers are benefiting? Think about that. So I say staff usage, and to the extent that it's possible, get your staff using your products and services. But if they can't, maybe they can vicariously experience it through testimonies and speaking with delighted customers. You need your staff to become very passionate about your product and to want to talk about it. And one of the primary sources of word of mouth marketing you're going to get is from your team. Think about it. When is the last time you sold something because a member on your team who isn't, say, a salesperson, some non-sales related team member actually referred business to you? It should happen very frequently and naturally. If it's not, ask yourself why. What can you do to get people to experience it? So when I was in the automotive business, we would want our team to drive our product. We would want them to buy or lease the vehicles or have a demonstrator model or something like this where they would be experiencing the value that we're trying to communicate to our customers. If that was impractical, maybe there was an affordability issue or people were brand new with the team and they weren't necessarily going to, maybe they just had a new lease from a different automotive manufacturer, those things can be problematic when we're trying to build value in their mind. So what we would say is, okay, let's get you out in the product so you can feel the difference. Maybe have them drive their vehicle, then drive one of ours as an example, and they're like, oh wow, this is so much smoother, so much quieter. And then we share information with them about the product. So making sure that they understand, but the usage thing is more passive, making sure that people use it. If you have some sort of comestible, ingestible, consumable product, you're in food industry or something like that, make sure that your team is tasting and experiencing that. When I was in the hospitality industry, we would have staff meetings where the chef would prepare some of the newer items on the menu. We'd have wine tastings, all this kind of stuff. We needed to use and experience the product that we were going to try to communicate the value to our customers. And then the next one on here, the last one on our passive list, is friends and family discounts. The same thing, you want to make sure that your staff's friends and family are getting special pricing. What you're trying to do is get those people that are closest to your business. They have the most at stake. The success of your business really matters to them. You want them using it. So I'm going beyond just staff using your products and services, and you want the friends and family of the staff to use it. So what you're going to do is you can put some discount in place that aligns your interests a little bit better. Now you might say some of this stuff is active. I understand there's a spectrum of passivity to activity, and some of this may require some activity. Maybe you've jotted down something so far that you need to do to bring some of these ideas to fruition. Even though we're calling them passive, they are more passive than the list we're about to get into, the active things that you should do. So I hope you'll consider all of these. Let's move on to those things which require a little bit more activity on your part. The first one up here is consistently train your team to communicate your unique value proposition. So we said on the passive one is that you need to have a thorough understanding of it. Well, what do you actively need to do to make sure that occurs? You need to train your team. You need to role play with your team. Have them recite it back to you. If it doesn't roll off their tongue, if they can't communicate your unique value proposition, your unique sales proposition to you very seamlessly, very effortlessly, that's hard to say, effortless. All right. Without much effort, if they can't communicate that, then you probably haven't done a good job in training them. They need to understand why. Why do you have unparalleled value in the marketplace? Why should customers want? Why should their friends and family want to take advantage of discounts? Why should your staff want to use it? You have to train them and share those ideas with them because of the quality, because of your outstanding pricing, because of the customer experience. And in training them, they will help to deliver that to the customers, not just the message of it, but they'll help to deliver that value. Number 2, create and maintain, that is, update a contact list. This is imperative. Okay, now we're starting to get into things that it feels like sales. It's like, uh-oh, he's asked me to create a contact list. Well, absolutely. So we're talking about word of mouth, and we say networking and referrals can almost be synonymous with that. Well, we're going to have to start doing some networking. So we want to create a contact list. Now, I have a video where I describe that in greater detail in my sales training video, but I'll just recap some of the best practices. The first thing when you are creating a contact list is you need to brainstorm. Think of everyone you possibly know. Set a goal of no fewer than a minimum of 100 names need to go on that list. Every person who would, God forbid, if you were to pass away unexpectedly, who would be at your funeral, who would be invited to your wedding, not just your friends and family, but your friends and family's friends and family. These people have a vested interest in your success in some way. What about people that you no longer communicate with anymore, but once you guys cared for one another or whatever back in the day? Those should be on your contact list. Now, a brainstorming best practice is to not jump ahead in your mind and think, well, what are we going to do with this contact list? Obviously, we're going to contact these people. If you think along those lines, you're going to leave people off your list. So I'm going to tell you right now, you want to have several people on your list that you're never, ever going to contact. But by putting them on your list, they're going to remind you of other people. It's like, oh, I'm not going to contact this person. Oh, but you know what? His sister's also been a good friend of mine, and I would contact her. And you put those people on the list. So you put everyone on the list. In fact, part of your brainstorming should be, I'm going to make a list of people who I will never contact. Who are my enemies? And hopefully you have a very short list of enemies, but you get the idea. Do not allow your brain to start filtering people out. Put everybody on there. Who was in your 3rd grade class? Who was in your Boy Scout troop with you? Girl Guides, whatever, who's on your gymnastics team or in your ballet class from when you were 12 years old. Put everyone on the list. Who do you know that has a name that starts with A? What about names that start with B? First names that start with A, last names that start with A, first names that start with C, last names that start with C. Just brainstorm and write a great list. If your list is 250 or stronger, that's great. I've heard of people who were able to create lists of 750. The more names, the better. You want to have a huge list here. We're going to network from that. And why I say you create it, that's the brainstorming exercise. Sit down and create the list. You need to maintain it. You need to update it. You need to add new people at all times. So let's say you just started dealing with a new business. You're dealing with a new dry cleaner. Is your new dry cleaner on your list as someone you know? So make sure, because we're going to make sure that our dry cleaner knows what it is that we do for a living. I don't want you to dismiss this. If you really want to get good at getting word of mouth referrals, you need to create a contact list. Number 3, define the ideal method for communicating your unique value proposition. And depending on your business, it may differ. Some of you, it's through your website. It might be through a video. It might be through, face-to-face communication, a phone call, verbally, through copywritten text. What is it that is most effective at delivering to somebody who doesn't know what you do the idea of what makes your products valuable and unique? You need to consider that. Perfect the elevator pitch. And when I say an elevator pitch, that term comes from being able to persuade someone and let them know about the value of what it is you're trying to communicate, to influence them in the length of time it would take to have a quick elevator ride. So, depending on how tall the building is, that can vary. But let's say in 60 seconds or less, you need to be able to let people know what it is that you do and why your products or services are great, and who your ideal customer is, who the ideal market that you service are. Number 5, engage as many as possible from your contact list. Okay, now I did say, and I put that further down the list because I didn't want you jumping ahead in your mind because of that whole brainstorming exercise. I'm saying engage as many as possible or as practical. What I am going to give you permission to is that there are some people on your list you're never, ever, 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 ever going to contact. That's completely fine. The whole purpose of contacting people on your contact list is not to sell them. That is not what you're trying to do here. You might deliver your elevator pitch. You might communicate, as step number 3 is, your unique value proposition in the ideal form to them, but you're not trying to sell them. Remember, word of mouth marketing, we're not sure who is going to come and engage with us and buy from us and be our customer. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that as many people as possible know about us. I mean, if I could give you this great marketing tip, as we're trying to do in these videos, and if I could wave a magic wand and the whole world would know how great your business is and your products or services, that everyone would just have that infused knowledge automatically, you would want that, because you understand the more people that know, the more business you will do. If we want to take the greatest advantage of word of mouth marketing and networking and get as many referrals as possible, you've got to be part of the solution. You've got to get the message out there and start with all those people, and then you're trying to get some exponential effect to it. Now, it's gonna die, it's gonna fizzle. It's not like they're gonna tell 2 people and they're gonna tell 2 people and so on and so on, and all of a sudden the whole world knows about it. That's the idea though. That's the general premise, and we can accept that it's going to fizzle. You're going to tell the people that you are closest with, and as many as is possible on your contact list, and you're hopeful that they will tell someone. In fact, that's what you need to say to them. It's like, yeah, our product or service, it may or may not be ideal for the person you're talking to. And so communicate that. So like, this isn't exactly for you, but I'm hoping that if you come across somebody, here's what our ideal customer looks like, and describe your target market to them so that they know. And then they're at a party, or they're in, at church, somewhere, they're in some social setting, and somebody mentions something to them, they meet somebody new, and they go, oh, you know what? My cousin, my nephew, my former boss, my former employee, he has a business that they do this, that might be able to help you out or whatever. Now that's where it starts to spread. So remember that the idea of the contact list is not to sell those people directly. It will happen, but it's not what we're really going for. We're just trying to spread the word. We're trying to organically spread the word. There's nothing worse than running into somebody that you've known for a very long time and they never made it onto your contact list, and then you find out in a casual conversation with them that they just engaged another business, a competitor of yours, and purchased a product or service that you could have provided for them, and that they would have just as soon preferred actually to give you the business, but they didn't really know. I've had lots of stories like that, because people on your contact list are not just your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your grandparents, your parents, that kind of thing, your best friend. People on your contact list are, like I said, your dry cleaner who you see, once a week or every couple of weeks, whatever it happens to be, but he's never engaged in a conversation with you about what it is you do for a living. So there are lots of people that you have like that on your list that you engage with from time to time. These are acquaintances, and you want them to know what it is that you do, so that if they or anyone they know is in the market, and you do that, once again, put the other hat on, where you have referred to other businesses where you've got a guy. It's like somebody brings something up and you're like, oh, I got a guy. I know a guy who does that. I'll give you his name, and you can give him a shout, or do you mind if I pass your information along to him? He'll give you a shout, and I'm sure he'll give you a good deal on what you're looking for, whatever the case may be. We do that organically if we know about it, but we will forget. That's why I say it will fizzle out. This is an active process. You have to be doing this. You have to maintain and update that contact list. The next part is CRM is crucial. I've got a whole video on CRM and how important it is. If you don't have a CRM, or if you have one and if you're being honest with yourself, you're not really using it to its fullest extent, break that habit. Ask yourself why. The answer must be, well, I really don't care about business that much. Or it is, you don't, and you're not going to admit that to yourself. What you're going to say is, you're going to go, well, I'm not organized, or it's the effort involved in using the CRM is a lot, and therefore you're essentially saying you don't believe in the value of the CRM. Now, CRM, for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, is customer relationship management tool, a piece of software, a mechanism that will help you maintain your relationships, build and maintain your relationships with a greater and greater number of people, your contacts. And this is where you put in your notes and the last time you talked to them, and you should do this periodically, and your CRM will remind you from time to time. It's been a long time since you talked to this person. Remember what I said about things fizzling out? That person, let's say you're dry cleaner, let's say whatever happened, and you switched dry cleaners or whatever, and then you went back to the same guy. You haven't talked to him in a very long time. Well, your CRM can remind you and say, hey, here's somebody on your list, and you go, you know what, let me throw a little business his way. That's just one easy way that I can organically exchange, a reciprocity concept with somebody, and remind them what I do for a living, and so on. That might be a bad example, but there are people, your CRM will tell you when you have contacts that you haven't engaged with in a very long time. You have to do this. Visit our video on CRM, reach out to us, contact us if you need assistance, if you need the software tool. We have the best CRM in the world, hands down. It's the most powerful, it's very adaptable, customizable, and it's very inexpensive. This isn't expensive. You can't afford to be without this. You need to engage your CRM and use it as it's meant to be used, so that you can do all these other things, which is to engage people in your contact list, update, maintain, and so on. The next one up here is align interests. That is create incentives for all stakeholders. So your sales team, of course, you want to have incentives for your sales team to go out there word of mouth and generate leads and get referrals and continue to network to use that CRM. Of course, that goes without saying. If you have a sales team, you want them doing that, but you also want to align incentives with somebody who may refer to you, the referrers of the world. So those people on your contact list, whether it's your cousin or your aunt or your dry cleaner or whoever who's on your contact list who may consider referring to you, what's in it for them? You need to align your interests. So maybe you're going to have a referral fee, or you're providing referrals to that dry cleaner. He's picked up a lot of business from you. Or another business colleague you have, you're referring to them and they're referring back to you. It's that law of reciprocity. Think about how you can align your interests. Also, you want your customer to have aligned interests. You want your customers who are already delighted. They are your best source of word of mouth marketing. Of course, we understand that a delighted customer is your best form of advertising. So make sure you align your interests. And is there something you can do to encourage your customer? At the very least, you want to ask them and remind them from time to time that your business is very dependent on referrals and that it's a great compliment when they refer people to you. And by the way, did you know you can get a discount every time you refer somebody? And not only that, when they refer somebody, you're going to give a discount to that person and to them, these types of things. And then your business, everyone throughout your business, is your receptionist aware how much you rely on referrals? Are there other people, technicians, other types of people throughout your business who don't think of themselves in sales? Is there an interest, or rather, are their interests aligned? Are their objectives aligned by some sort of incentive? Do they at least know you've communicated to them that you very much value word of mouth referrals? And what are you going to do to them, or do for them rather, to make sure that they're doing that? Number 8 is very simple: ask for referrals. And I put that on here because people fail to ask all the time. What are you doing to ask? Are you sending out email campaigns every now and then? And reminding people of your referral program or your rewards program? Are you having everybody on your team, every touch point, remind your customers how important referrals to you? You have to ask. If you're not asking, you're not being active. Number 9, make it easy to refer. So what I'm talking about here is, number 1, make sure that the elevator pitch is really refined and very easy for someone to remember. It's like, what is it that I do for a living? What are the benefits? What is my unique value proposition? If I tell my dear Aunt Sally about this, and then she's talking to someone who might be ideal for me, and it wasn't easy for her to remember, then it's not going to be as effective. So you want to make it easy by communicating. And what I've seen people do, and we've engaged in as a best practice, is what materials can you give them? Well, here's a brochure, here's a business card, here's a little USB drive, here's a video, here's a link to a video. If you ever find somebody who's interested and might be an ideal customer for me, please share this with them, and that'll tell them everything they know. You don't need to understand it because you're not in that industry or whatever, Mr. Referrer, but the person who is in the market for that, they'll definitely understand some of this material, that kind of thing. So make it easy. Create a mechanism. Do you have a form on your website that a person can enter their contact information? Do you have a form that if somebody is referring someone else that they could fill out? All these types of things. Think of the ways you can make it easier for people to refer. Number 10, collect contact information for prospective referrals. This is a best practice. I recommend this, and I alluded to it earlier. Most people, when they refer, what they will do is they will tell the prospective customer, the lead, about your information. They will say, oh yeah, go to bickermanagement.com website and find out all about them. Or here's a business card for my nephew, and he's an electrician, and give him a call. But ideally, the very best way to have a referral is for when somebody who is referring finds a prospective customer or a lead, they obtain permission from that person to pass along that contact information to you, the business owner, the manager, because you will then have control. You can contact them because things slip through the cracks. Like I gave, maybe it's at the church picnic or something, some social event where somebody passes along this information at a party. By the end of the night, the person has forgotten all about that kind of stuff. But if they got the contact information and permission for you to utilize it to reach out to them as a referral, now it's in, you put it in your CRM and you're reminded and you follow up and you nurture those leads. That is the best practice. I would really encourage you to try to flip it on its head and get the information. If you've got key people that refer all the time, maybe key customers that have sent you lots of business, or relatives, loved ones who are notorious, or that you're very grateful for all the referral business they give you, make sure you ask them if they can pass on. So they call you up and they say, hey, by the way, I passed your name on to so-and-so because they're in the market. Then at that point say, hey, can I have that person's name and information? I'll just call them. Could you ask for permission to give that to me? That's really key. Number 11 is to nurture. Remember, when you get a referral, that these people aren't necessarily in the market right now. It's all about timing. So we want to nurture those leads. And that's again where CRM comes in, and follow up, and your email campaigns and all the different types of marketing. You want to make sure you're dripping on people, touching base with them from time to time, giving them value. Remember, nurturing is not about annoying people. It's about offering them value and reminding them you're there for them if a need should arise, because people will forget. That's what I mean when I say it fizzles over time. Number 12, track referrals and other lead sources diligently. If you're not tracking how people are coming to deal with you, then you're missing the boat on this here. How often do you get referrals? If you can't tell me, we used to track that. And what you have to do is put an incentive in place where there's a reason to track it. So if you have a sales team, for example, and if you're aligning your interests and you're letting them know, hey, if this wasn't through advertising that this lead came about, but it's through your network or from a referral of yours, you get a little extra remuneration, some extra compensation. They will track that and it goes in the system and it's marked. Now you can look at that and you can see over time, are the referral numbers going up? Are they going down? What's the trajectory? And what are the best sources of our leads? And then you can double down and you can make your efforts more engaged in those various efforts. So like if you have paid advertising sources that are really good, you'll go that. But today's discussion isn't about that. It's more about the word of mouth. But on number 12 say you need to track referrals and all sources of leads very diligently. I suspect many of you aren't doing that. I know over many years of management, it's difficult to get people to do this. And so align interests. That's what you have to do. Number 13, apply positive reinforcement for referrals given and received. So that could be a incentive of some sort. You may pay a referral fee. You might send a little token of your appreciation, some sort of gift. You might offer rewards points. You might offer discounts to people for referring. But here's a really important part of this. If the referral doesn't pan out, you still want to give positive reinforcement. Like, hey, thank you so much for that referral. Really appreciate you thinking of us. It didn't work out this time, but we will make sure that if it ever does work out, we're going to treat those people really well, and so on. The key here is whether your referral results in a sale and revenue or not, you want to give positive reinforcement to everyone on the team. Hey, great job. I saw last month you gave us a few referrals. And so remember, people aren't only looking for money. And when I say people in this regard, I'm talking about your employees, your team. They're not just looking for pay. Sometimes they just want a pat on the back from the boss. So what are you doing that reinforces your expectation and your desire to get more referrals within your organization? Number 14, display and promote feedback from delighted customers. When you get that, what that does, it is sort of subconsciously tells your customers and your staff, but your customers that are reading that feedback, oh, yeah, I'm very happy as well. Maybe I should share some feedback. And public facing, like internet-based ratings, reviews, and testimonials are it's the modern version of word of mouth marketing. So they're telling the general public, and we believe those. When we see that there's a verified customer who's rating you at 5 stars and they've got a believable, very plausible testimonial that's posted up there along with the 5 stars that describes, maybe it describes that they weren't entirely happy and you made things right, those types of things, the general public, your strangers out there, start to trust you more. So this is another way. So engage in an online reputation management strategy and then display those and promote those and get everyone involved in collecting more testimonials, more ratings and reviews. Number 15, give VIP treatment to referrals. Now you might say, well, Michael, I want to give VIP treatment to everyone. I get that. Customer is king. We already said that, but here's what I mean. Just a little bit more. You have specific customers in your organization who are really good, the best customers. You know, those customers that are the most loyal to you, those customers who've done the most business with you, they spend a fortune with you, and you pour it on a little better for them, don't you? You should. I know when if that's the description of me as a customer for a business, I kind of expect a little bit more for them. I expect some appreciation. I'm typically delighted with the product or service, otherwise I wouldn't be such a good customer. But we all like acknowledgement that our business is valued. And so I suspect you have customers that you're really giving a little bit of extra to in terms of treatment. And then when they refer someone to you, or not necessarily they, if anyone refers someone to you, that's sort of cutting down that time frame to get to know, like, and trust people. It's cutting your costs. We haven't even said that in this whole presentation up to now. You understand that word of mouth referral is not only the most powerful and effective form of marketing, it's the cheapest form. You don't have to pay for this necessarily. You might offer some referral fees, but compared with advertising expense, this is way more effective, cost effective. So what can you do? Do a few, I've got some examples up there, a management or a key personnel introduction. So you have somebody comes in and they were referred by Bob, and you're like, oh, well, thank you very much for coming in. You know what? I know our boss. I know my boss. I know the owner. I know the management would want to meet you because they love Bob, and any friend of Bob's a friend of ours, whatever. You come up with your word tracks. Then you bring the manager over. The manager pours it on and says, oh, wow, you're a friend of Bob's. Bob's been a great customer of ours for years. Thank you very much for coming in. I'll tell you what, we're going to look after you as well as we look after Bob. We'll make sure that you're treated really well. Not only does the new customer that was referred appreciate that, but Bob appreciates it. He's like, well, now I'm going to refer more because he's getting positive feedback. That guy who came in and dealt with you goes back and says, oh, yeah, and I met the boss. And they're like, oh, you met Michael? Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, I've known him for years. And I'm glad to hear you looked at. And now Bob is like, oh, that's great. When I refer people in there, they really look after them. Maybe you have a facility tour, maybe some sort of gift, some swag. You've got a pen with your company logo on it, or a mug, a coffee mug, or something like it. Depending on your business, what can you do? Maybe you can give them an upgrade in the service. It's like, well, we're going to throw in this. There's usually a little extra charge for that, but because you're a referral of Bob's, we're going to give that to you at no extra charge. Maybe you offer a bit of a discount. These types of things, treat them like VIPs. So there you have it. Those are the passive and active ways to try to leverage and the considerations you need to make to try to take advantage of the most powerful, the most effective, and the most cost-effective form of marketing, which is word of mouth. And we should have never skipped over this. That's why I wanted to dedicate, and we spent a long time on this one today. I hope you got some ideas that you can implement and drive your business forward. What is your homework? Please do not dismiss those active ones, those things about networking, creating the contact list. I know the ones that are most difficult, you start to dismiss those in your mind. You go, well, I'm so busy right now to put notes in a CRM, all that kind of stuff. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. If you're not doing this and your competition is, they're getting ahead. And the whole reason you listen to this is for value, so you can do something to make your business thrive. So I hope you will not dismiss those things. The more difficult things are probably those things that are going to have the most impact, the greatest impact in driving your business forward and your revenues up. So that's where we're going to leave it today. I hope you got something out of this. And if you did, leave a comment, because when you leave a comment, someone else in the community learns from it. And we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.